What's going on, folks? Wes Pruitt, 4-Star Sports Media. You are sitting down inside the sports buffet. It's 9:41 on August 12th, 2024. Appreciate everybody watching and listening over at the 4-Star Sports Media social pages. It's a busy day today. Another plate full for you on Monday, as we will be talking a little Paris Olympics as we saw it wrap up over the weekend. We'll talk a little bit of NFL preseason ball, specifically Tennessee Titans today, as we'll get into that as we dig into more of it on Wednesday's show. Then we'll get into college football. We talk a little college football on a national level, and then we get into more regional teams as we dig into the Charlotte 49ers, the Jacksonville State Gamecocks, but then we also get into the Great American Conference as we yak about the GAC a little bit, and we talk a little bit about the defending D2 national champion Harding Bisons as we take a look at the Arkansas programs inside the GAC as we start previewing that conference, as that's an additional bit of coverage we will have starting this year. All that and more today on the Sports Buffet, presented to you by 4-Star Sports Media. Let's go. Welcome into the show. As you can see at the bottom of the screen there, that says 4-Star Sports Media. That's your SeatGeek promo code. Go to SeatGeek now. Find you any tickets $50 or more. If it's your first SeatGeek purchase, you type that promo code in. It will save you $20 off your first purchase. Welcome to the show. I am Wes Pruitt. Got John Sturdivant over here to the left. We appreciate John coming in as well. John, how you doing, man?
Man, it's Monday. Let's just say that.
I feel you, man. I feel you. I am ready to get this day over with for sure. I'm off tomorrow, so I'm excited. Yeah, welcome to the show. Got a big show planned for you today. Let's get it started with the burning question, which is, what D1 coach has the coldest seat in the nation?
Wow.
Not hottest seat, folks. Coldest seat. We'll get into that more here shortly. Poll question number 1. After last night's debacle, does NASCAR have a problem? Because let's be honest, last night was a problem, folks. Anybody that even watched, hell, you didn't even have, yeah. Does NASCAR have a problem? I think they do, just to be honest with you. I think they do. All right, up next, will we see someone overtake the D2 Harding Bison this year in the GAC, aka Great American Conference? That question's a little tougher, and we'll get into Harding specifically here shortly. John, what's your thoughts on the 2 poll questions? We'll get into the hot question at the end of the show. What's your thoughts on the 2 poll questions? We'll start with this one.
All right, the first one is absolutely after we even had to watch the race to find out what happened. I forgot it was even on TV, to be honest with you, with everything else going on regarding the Olympics wrapping up to an interesting baseball debacle, going back and forth. But even golf was kind of interesting. We'll talk about golf Wednesday, but that's a different story. But yeah, but just talking about NASCAR, I think they do have a problem. You're not going to be doing anything if you don't suspend these racers after hitting people or crashing into the wall. And yesterday just showed how much Austin Dillon just wanted to qualify for that playoff. And him crashing into Logano and then
Yeah,
Hamilton
100%, man.
So yeah, Austin Dillon just wanted to qualify for that playoff. But they got to do something, man. If you don't suspend these racers, like 2 races or whatever, then how are they going to learn on what's really going on behind these wrecks? And then what happened to once you hit somebody, you throw the flag or whatever right away? I know you're so close to the finish line, but yeah, you got absolutely a problem if you do not suspend these racers completely for like a few races here and there. That's what I think in NASCAR, anyway. And what was the second question?
My bad. You there? Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%, John. I think if you don't do that, it's going to be a reoccurring issue for NASCAR that's not going to go away. Hang on one second, man. I'm trying to get this video loaded up onto StreamYard real quick. And the reason I want to load it is because I think it's freaking hilarious. So we would see last night. Let me see if it's loaded up here.
Right.
So we would see last night. Speaking of NASCAR, we would see Austin Dillon completely take out Joey Logano. Right. I mean, just spun him, put him in the wall. But then after that, to come back and completely take out Austin Dillon, take out Denny Hamlin. And I'll be honest with you, I can't wait to hear Denny Hamlin's podcast this week. It's going to be exciting. I wish this video would hurry up and load. Oh, it's too big. It won't load. Anyway, the video was while Austin Dillon is doing his burnout, so is Joey Logano from the pit row. And right. NASCAR officials were pissed. But I think it's hilarious, man. I think it's hilarious. But yeah, I agree, John. NASCAR's got a problem for sure. All right, John, poll question number 2. As we're roughly 10 minutes into the show. Appreciate everybody watching and listening. You are sitting down at the Sports Buffet Monday, August 12th edition, 2024. 4-Star Sports Media. John, question number 2, man. Will we see someone overtake the Harding Bison in the GAC?
Not this year, but maybe down the road. Just the way that Harding has recruited all over the state of Arkansas, and has even gone into a little bit of West Tennessee and surrounding areas as well, and it's done a good job on the recruiting trail. And whatever offense they run, they seem to. I know they've been running the wishbone and running the ball and running the ball and running the ball, but whatever seems to work for you is still going to continue to work for you. Yeah, you might have a few surprises at you this year because some teams might have a little bit more experience back, and whatnot. Like a team that kind of struggled last year, like Arkansas Tech, for example, might go up in the top of the standings this year just because they've done so well recruiting, whatnot, and good coaching staff over there as well. But Harding is Harding, man. They're 15-0 last year for a reason.
Yeah,
they dominated in that championship game last year for a reason. When you have 500 yards of rushing in one game, going to total dominate. And you know as much
Yeah,
as I do, it's going to be hard to figure out that offense in 1 week.
I love that offense. I love it. Yeah, man. Triple option is one of my favorite offenses to run. Both as a video game player and in real life. I thoroughly enjoyed it, man. Thoroughly enjoyed it. But we will get to the hot question of the show, and that is, I'll go back to it real quick for everybody watching. The hot question is, burning question is, what D1 football coach has the coldest seat in the nation? We'll get to that at the end of the show. But John, it's time for the main course, man. Let's get into it, man. Let's start with the Paris Olympics. I loved the Olympics. It actually feels weird today, them not being on, and not being able to sit here and watch some type of Olympics coverage this morning. But we saw the closing ceremonies yesterday. Interesting closing ceremonies, just as it was the opening ceremony. Um, but man, what a wild, what feels like a month. I don't think it wasn't a month, but it feels like it was a month. It was really like what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. But we saw some incredible sports. We would see handball, which I absolutely loved. We would see break dancing, which was, I liked it until the Australian person got out there, and then it became comical to me.
Okay,
That guy
can you
did the
say that? 'Cause
sprinkler, dude. Like, what are you
oh,
doing?
I didn't get to see that part. That's why I
Oh
asked
my
you.
gosh, dude, he did the sprinkler. I'll send you a video, man. It's a
Okay.
guy making fun of him, but I'll send you a video.
Oh gosh.
But the reason I talk about the Olympics is, well, they're a lot of fun. I love it every 4 years, right? It's getting ready to come to the United States as well. It'll be in LA in 2028. We'll talk about that shortly. But John, I have a question for you, man. You know, people love to debate. Everybody wants to debate. Is this team the best ever? Is this person the GOAT? Are they the GOAT ever? Are they goated? That term is just chunked around everywhere now. So my question is this: is Team USA men and women's from this year, are those two the best teams ever in the Olympics?
Man, that's just. Can I just say something first of all? A lot of people are giving LeBron
Yeah.
James, Steph Curry, the whole 9 yards, a lot of grief the last couple of days just because, one, people are seeing them out in the streets, and whatnot, because they want to take photos, they want to get autographs from them. But after watching a video last night regarding Steph Curry's youngest newborn, who, according to Draymond Green, got hit in the head by somebody from the French, and whatnot. You don't know what these athletes are going through on a day-to-day basis in a different country. For example, they could basically get harassed by other people, and whatnot, which maybe that's why LeBron James went off on that kid. Because he was, whatnot as well. I know people are saying, well, LeBron James was dancing 10 seconds after that, whatnot. But you don't know what's going on regarding an athlete from the United States going over to a different country and maybe getting harassed, or like Draymond Green said, Steph Curry's newborn got hit in the head. And you don't really know what's going on, but it's interesting just to see more people bash our USA athletes because nobody really went like, oh, this person didn't get a photo with them. They didn't get their autograph, that type of stuff. But to answer your question, let me just say this. To win that game for the men's, I really thought they would probably play Serbia for that gold medal because I wanted to see Joker play the United States for that gold medal because it would have been, pretty cool to see Joker, and whatnot. But that France game, man, I'll be honest with you, I really thought whoever betted the point spread on that and had USA favored by 25. Yeah. So I'm like, if you betted for the French to cover for that, congratulations. But if you picked USA to dominate the way they were going into that, and say based on experience, but I'm just like, no, dude, 25 points is a lot of points when you're playing in France and you're playing the gold medal against France. But credit to, I don't know if this is the best ever yet, but because you didn't get to see Jason Tatum play in some games like 0 minutes. He's I know people are saying, well, Jason Tatum, but Jason Tatum is an NBA champion. He didn't
100%.
get to play. He didn't play zero. He played 0 minutes in some games. Come on now. I don't know what's the deal on that. Nobody really knows. There's so much different stories on that for different day. But to win that game on 8-10-24, 8 for Kobe, 24 for Kobe, and the whole 9 yards, and 10 when he wore the USA jersey, to win that game, not only for the USA, but also to win it for Kobe Bryant and his family that were in attendance, per se as well.
Yeah.
But that was pretty cool to see. But just, I don't know. It's hard to say regarding if this is the best ever. Regarding the women's point of view.
I mean,
yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh, you can go ahead and say your point of the men's real quick. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like on the men's, man, I go back to the speech from the president of the French Republic, Emmanuel Macron. Okay, it was the speech yesterday that we saw at the closing. Okay, but he made this statement really, really stood out to me. He said, "Dear Olympian friends, dear, fellow Olympians, da 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 da. Despite all, I'm paraphrasing. Despite all the tensions in the world, we came together." But this part I want to read specifically. He says, "Your performances." It's a little clip. "Your performances were amazing. You competed fiercely against each other. Every contest on the edge of perfection. Every performance sparking excitement around the world. You showed us what greatness we humans are capable of. During all this time, you lived peacefully together under one roof in the Olympic Village. You embraced each other. You respected each other. Even if your countries are divided by war and conflict, you created a culture of peace. You inspired us. You inspired all of us and billions of people around the globe. Thank you for making us dream. Thank you for making us believe in a better world for everyone. We know that the Olympic Games cannot create peace, but the Olympic Games can create a culture of peace that inspires the world. This is why I call upon everyone who shares the Olympic spirit. Let us live this culture of peace every day." He would say millions of people celebrating the athletes in the streets of Paris and all across France. Millions of spectators in iconic venues created an overwhelming atmosphere. More than half of the world's population sharing this spectacular celebration of the unity of humankind in all of our diversity. At the end of the day, I think this year's men's team was one of the best ever. To your point, I can't say best, but I can say this: it was really fun to watch them mold. It was really fun to watch LeBron and Steph have moments together, because at the end they understand the impact of this. The opening and closing ceremonies had nothing to do with the United States. It was all about France. It's the whole point of them having their own opening ceremony. LA is going to do the same thing, right? Salt Lake City is going to do the same thing. That's then the United States gets their time to make their own. But this was France's time. And when you look at France throughout this entire Olympics, from fencing to handball to jiu-jitsu to wrestling to women's, I mean, did you see John, you watched it, the emotion of those women. Men's basketball, not just, I think this has been one of the best Olympics team sport wise I've ever seen.
Yeah, when you have 40 gold medals as a whole, and I think that's like what the most ever. I think it might be
one
up there.
Yeah.
It's one of the top ones out there. But yeah, when you see as a whole the USA dominated the way they did, I say this is the best USA effort that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
I'm not, I'll say that, but I'm not going to say yet. Like you brought up, LeBron and Steph Curry doing those 4-step back threes to close it out. The best shooter in the game by far. Just the way that Steph Curry was like, I could just tell the emotion with Steph Curry at the end of that too, because the way that I think this might be like when people are talking about how Steve Kerr, this might be his last year coaching this USA basketball team, which it very well could be. And to
Yeah,
enjoy that with
yeah,
Steph Curry, your fellow teammate slash employer slash coach or whatever, enjoy that with Kerr is one of the special moments. But how about Anthony Edwards? A lot of people are saying Anthony Edwards didn't do that much. But
yeah.
Anthony Edwards did do some things in those games to make USA win that gold medal as well. So credit to Anthony Edwards. I know Kevin Durant dominated as he does. That's the fourth gold medal now. So the women's team, I'm gonna say this is probably like we can have a separate show for this. Where's Caitlin Clark? Where's Angel Reese? Which we'll go down the road. We'll talk about that. But yeah, I think if Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark were on that roster, it would have been more fun. Let's just say that. But regarding the best team in women's, I think it's probably the best team in women's that you can probably remember in deep history. You got Diana Taurasi still balling out at her age. You still got, Brianna Stewart still balling out at her age.
Yeah.
Sabrina, forgive me on her last name, but the girl from New York
Yeah.
Liberty dominating as
Hey,
she did. And to see her
hey,
do that.
I hate to cut you off, John. We got a little bit of breaking news here. Memphis
Uh-oh.
softball has hired Trina Prater from Campbell University, 73 and 39 in the past 2 seasons at Campbell. Ed Scott would say Coach Prater is a proven winner and an exceptional leader of student athletes on and off the field. Quote, as she has done throughout her career, she will build a well-rounded team that competes for championships. This is a wonderful day for the Memphis Tigers, and I look forward to supporting Coach Prater as she brings an exciting brand of softball to Tiger Nation. She was 37-21 overall with a 22-5 record during its inaugural season in the CAA in 2024. 22 conference wins set a CAA record as the team led the league with a 330 batting average, 1.58 ERA, and a 9.975 fielding percentage. She was also named the league's coach of the year, the Fighting Camels, as we know them, John. The Fighting Camels. She would say, I'd like to thank Dr. Scott and Lauren Ashman for believing in me and my vision for the Memphis softball program. Prater said, I feel blessed and beyond grateful for this opportunity to lead these young ladies to competitive greatness. I can't wait to develop my team. Reconnect with alumni, collaborate with other coaches in the athletic department, and make an impact in the community. Taking this job is bigger than me. Bigger than me, John. I haven't done this. I'm just getting this. This is literally just breaking news. We're literally breaking news on the air. Lauren Ashman would say this is an exciting day for the Memphis softball program. She's a proven winner that loves the process of building a successful program. She, of course, as we know, or as you may not know, but she was a standout player at LSU from 99 to 2002, earning a 2002 SEC Player of the Year honor. She holds the LSU record for career triples and single season triples. She had 27 and 14 in 2002. She played professionally for the Akron Racers in 04, 08, and 09, the New York Juggernauts in 05, the Chicago Bandits in 06, the Philadelphia Force in 07. So, wow, totally off the wall there. That threw a monkey wrench on the show. Okay, wasn't expecting this, but I think it's a good hire. I like just on the outside looking in. So far, I like it.
Yeah, so far I do like it as well. I'll probably have to do a little bit more research after the show to figure out what kind of winning. How far did Campbell go? And whatnot in their not scheduling, but in their conference tournament, whatnot as well. But overall, just hearing about her background, I think I do like to hire. It's gonna take time, man. How much of a mess it has been the last couple of years, off and on, per se. But But it's interesting because how much recruits are you going to be able to keep now this late in the game, and how much players are you going to be staying at Memphis in general because you waited till I know Ed Scott just got on the job like a couple months ago, whatnot. But schools are going to be in session the next couple weeks,
Yeah.
so it's gonna be interesting who enters the portal now and who ends up staying in general because the softball window, as much as you know it, I do,
Yep.
stays open 365 days a year.
Yep.
So this will be interesting, who stays and doesn't stay, and then who recruiting wise ends up staying committed to the University of Memphis, not only this year, but the year next year after that. I know one thing, she's going to have to recruit the state of Tennessee a lot because the state of Tennessee's got some good product out there in softball. So if she does that part, I think we'll be okay. But that women's basketball question, I think this is the best women's basketball team in USA history. Regarding that, because like we talked about those players before the breaking news happened, you got to see the passion. You brought up passion. I know a lot of people are still talking bad about Brittany Griner, but man, just the way that she showed her passion right after that game and say, "Hey, I screwed up by going to Russia and doing that nonsense in Russia and be locked up for God knows how long,
Yeah.
whatnot." But to show her passion the last couple of games, the way that she did so well for the United States, to win that gold medal. Think about it. You never know what could have happened in overtime in France yesterday when you played France for that gold medal as well. Because you
Yep.
were 1 foot barely over the line to go to that game to go to overtime. But I think this is the best, ever regarding Diana Taurasi, Brianna Stewart, the whole 9 yards regarding the women's basketball team. Yeah, maybe in 2028 you'll have a Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. But looking back at it, I'm kind of glad they're not on this team so they can grow the next couple of years around these players that are in the WNBA and just grow the relationships to playing pickup basketball with them, down the road as well. So I'll say this is the best women's USA basketball team. Men is maybe like 70-30 right now, but if they win gold medal in
Yep.
2028, yeah, I definitely think this could be very well the best men's USA. But give me another 4 years and we'll see what happens.
Man, I have to agree, dude. 110%. I have to agree. But man, breaking news. Like I said, breaking news right now is that Memphis softball has hired Trina Prater from University of Campbell. Uh, wow, wasn't expecting that at all, John. All right, man. Let's jump over and let's get into a little uh, NFL preseason talk.
Yeah.
Wow, that, like I said, that totally threw me off there. Um, wow. Yeah. So let's get into a little NFL preseason talk, John. We would see the Tennessee Titans get I say a big win. I mean, it was a win. It was a preseason win. But they got the win over the San Francisco 49ers. It would earn Brian Callahan his first victory in his preseason debut. It makes Tennessee now the 17-13 score improves Tennessee all time to 31-6 preseason at Nissan Stadium. It also gives the Titans now a 4-game winning streak in home preseason contests. We would see Will Levis play really well. The offense was 52.9% on third down. They scored touchdowns on the unit's first 2 drives of the game. And it was also the first occasion with the new NFL rule with the kickoff. Everyone hates it, but Wes Pruitt. I love it. Well, I mean, John,
I haven't really watched the NFL preseason game with the kickoff yet, so give me like a game to watch on replay and I'll let you know.
Well, so Kyrus Jackson, wide receiver for the Titans, took the team's first kickoff 63 yards, right, to help set up the first drive, okay? Well, that was the longest kickoff return in a game since Akrum Wadley's 64-yarder at Green Bay on August 9th of 2018. So it's already creating more opportunity for these guys I mean, he would also add another 18-yard return to have 2 kickoff returns for the games for 81 yards. But yeah, like I said, man, I enjoyed. Some things stood out to me. I don't know if you've watched the game or looked at any highlights, but 3, 4 things stood out to me about the Titans.
Okay.
Number one, their running back room is really, really going to be fun to watch. But Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. But you also got Hassan Haskins, who really showed me a lot in the game this week. And Callahan talked about it in his presser on Monday. I've got the quotes. I don't have them memorized or have them written down. But he was impressed. He spoke about it as well. But you look at Tony Pollard. It's not Derrick Henry back there anymore. It's going to take some Tennessee Titans fans used to getting to that. But I like Tony Pollard in that backfield. I like Tajay Spears in that backfield. It's for sure. When you look at defense, really, really like how the defense played. A lot more aggression. New defensive coordinator comes in. Really, really impressed with the whole new staff, honestly. And then the other one is the offensive line. Now, we spoke about Brian Callahan. The name Callahan probably rings a bell. No, I'm not talking about Tommy Boy and Callahan Auto Parts. I'm talking about Bill Callahan, which is Brian Callahan's dad. So Bill Callahan absolutely does an incredible job with the offensive line, and it showed during their game. But all that to say this, the last one is this. I think Will Levis is the future of Nashville. Now, I have said this about Jake Locker, Marcus Mariota,
Ryan Tannehill.
Tannehill. There was a few of them, man. But I think Will Levis has a certain edge about him that I haven't seen in a quarterback in Tennessee. And I'm not putting this on him. Don't take this. I haven't seen that edge since Steve McNair. I haven't seen a guy at that position that really just has the intangibles to not only. Mariota was great. I'm not taking anything from him, right? But I think Will's just got something. He's got that extra it that I think is going to be very, very fun to watch. A, but B, I think it's going to be very important for this franchise. What's your thoughts on the Titans, John?
My thought on the Titans, when they hired Coach Callahan for the Bengals, I love that hire, to be honest with you, when I first heard it. Because I really thought that he would basically – he's going to be doing a spread offense, like he has been and can do also a pistol at times, like you brought up. Tony Pollard and Spears, the running back from Tulane. You could always use Pollard and Spears back in the backfield at the same time. And like you talked about JP yesterday with Arkansas. Arkansas's got the dynamic running backs. They could use Pollard and Spears, and one of them would go into a slot. Like Pollard could go into a slot, and then he could be open as like a receiver, as well. And I think it's going to be interesting regarding the Titans this year regarding that. But you brought up the running back room. They do have a heavy running back room. Some people might not make the main roster, but be on that practice squad and learn from two of the best and Tony Pollard and whatnot down the road is going to be interesting. But credit to Jabari Small out there. I know he got 10 carries for like a hard 18 yards the other night, but he's going to be another running back. It's going to be interesting to see how the Titans could very well use Jabari Small down the road as well. But yeah, the Titans got Seattle this weekend coming up in Nashville again. But yeah, Will Levis, I think, to be honest with you, he is the future of the Tennessee Titans by far at quarterback. You still got Mason Rudolph, and you still got what's the guy from Liberty? Oh gosh, Malik Willis.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be interesting. But yeah, Mayo boy is the future of the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree. I think he is. All right, man. Let's jump over to college football now as we're going to talk. We're going to get into just a couple of things real quick. But let's get into potential Coach of the Year candidates real quick, John. What's your thoughts on some Coach of the Year candidates out there? Just a couple, and I'll give you a couple too.
Right now, Jimmy Chadwell from Liberty could be out there. It could very well be a Ryan Silverfield from Memphis because a lot of people are predicting him, to make the playoff on that 12-team playoff, whatnot. Um, a lot of people are talking about Barry Odom possibly from UNLV. So those are my main three on top of my head that could very well be a potential Coach of the Year candidate. Other than our main conferences, in general.
Yeah, I think you look at it on the national landscape. I think a guy like Steve Sarkisian is a guy that could very well become National Coach of the Year. I think a guy like Lane Kiffin could very well be National Coach of the Year. Kellen DeBoer, don't be shocked at that. You know what I mean? There's things like that. But then you look at more regional side of things. You look at Conference Coach of the Years. I agree. I think a Ryan Silverfield could do it. In the American, I think you look at a team that we're getting ready to talk about, and that's a Rich Rodriguez over at Jacksonville State in the CUSA. You look in the Great American Conference, you got Phil Knight over at Ouachita Baptist, who's really, really talented as a football coach. You all these teams are loaded around the country, man. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Speaking of group of five conferences, I air quote for those of you listening. Which group of five conference is the best, John? We're going to talk about two of them today when we talk about the Charlotte 49ers and the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. But what's your thoughts on them, John? What G5 conference is the best?
Right now, I'm going to go with the Mountain West on top of my head. Coach's point of view, probably the Mountain West, just because nothing against the American. I love the coaches in our conference from top to bottom. But when you got a lot of teams in the Mountain West that could overleap like a Memphis or Liberty, and the Mountain West, it's going to show how early on, I think the Mountain West is going to compete against these power schools. When out like Colorado State plays Colorado again. Colorado State plays Texas that first ball game, which I'm surprised by that point spread is so high. But it's going to be interesting regarding Mountain West. I think, especially when you got Coach Calhoun from Air Force, that's still there at Air Force. That's been there like 18 seasons, I believe now. And it's going to be interesting how Air Force does as well in the Mountain West. And then right now with the Mountain West playing the Pac-2 schools in their conference games this year. So Washington State and, what's the other one that I got left? I forgot on top of my head. But yeah.
Washington State, Oregon State.
Yeah, Washington State and Oregon State. So just talking about those two, playing those Mountain West teams. I think the Mountain West right now is probably the best G5 from top to bottom where, regarding that.
Yeah, I think the American is up there. I think when you look at just over the longevity of the group of five team and how they participate in the playoff. I mean, we saw Liberty last year, obviously from CUSA. But when you look at it, Tulane beat USC. Obviously, we know Liberty did not beat Oregon. Memphis we've talked about it. Memphis gave Penn State all they wanted in that game. Central Florida as well. We would see them play LSU back in the day. Numerous talented teams in a really good conference. But John, speaking of a good conference, and it's a conference that not a lot of people are talking about. Let's yak about the GAC a little bit, man. The old Great American Conference, John. It's a conference built of teams from the state of Arkansas, teams from the state of Oklahoma as well. We're going to talk specifically about the Arkansas teams out of this conference. And we're going to start with a team that prior to last year, a lot of people probably didn't even know existed. Would you agree with that, John?
Yeah, absolutely.
The Harding Bisons. The Harding is a university that is predominantly Church of Christ religion. I know that because I grew up Church of Christ. I have family that went there. Shout out Stuart Haley, Harding Bison alum, now coaching football in Texas high school. Um, but don't you dare miss a curfew at Harding. Don't you dare. Um, but when you look at the Bisons, John, let's look Paul Simmons. He's 65-13 at the school, 15-0 last year. Obviously, first place. They won the national championship. They beat the Colorado School of Mines 38-7. But John, let's just look at the Bison by some numbers, okay? Let's go ahead and bring this up. Let's take a look at the Hardin Bisons by some numbers. They outscored opponents 703 to 163 in 2023. There's a lot of threes in there. So we'll start there. We'll start there. 703 points to 163, John. That tells me your offense is really good. That also tells me your defense is not bad, right?
That and the time of possession.
Well, we're going to get to that too, yeah.
But yeah,
time of
total
possession.
domination.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it just makes you wonder. Yeah, it just makes you wonder what the actual defense, is doing on that sidelines because your offense is totally on the field most of that game. But just to dominate the way you did in those games, you talked about some games. Some of the games were like 64-0, 62-0.
Yeah.
54-20. But yeah, it's total domination. Like we talked about, it is hard to defend that. So, yeah. Total domination.
Yeah, it's very hard to defend the triple option. I mean, when you look at it, last year they ran for 6,161 yards. That's the most by any team in NCAA history on any level. And I don't see that record being broken.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Air Force does it this year. Maybe Navy. Maybe, I don't know. No, Navy doesn't even run the option anymore. So I don't know. Yeah. At 505 rushing yards in the national championship, they had 6 sacks. They did throw, and I'm shocked by this, John.
Uh-huh.
But they threw. Let me get back to it here because I gotta find my stats. Sorry. Here it is. They threw 1 pass interception in 56 attempts.
Wow.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
Yeah, it's like 56
passing. That's what I'm shocked about. I'm not shocked about the interception. They don't ever throw the ball. I'm shocked about the 56 attempts. That's like crazy, man. They rushed for a total of 3.5 miles of offense. Rushing offense travel was 3.5 miles. They had 4 turnovers in the final 12 games. 8 rushing touchdowns allowed. Wow. 10.9 points allowed per game. This is all last year.
Huh.
410.7 yards per game per rushing. 410. And you talked about it, John. Time of possession. Harding's average time of possession last year was 35 minutes and 33 seconds. Go back and look at some other teams and look at their time of possession, and it's not going to be 33 minutes, folks.
No.
I can almost assure you of that. But, John, when you look at this schedule, man, Harding, it's loaded again. Of course, they bring back Blake De La Cruz, talented running back. They also get a young man from over here in Arkansas from Elkins Academy named Deshaun Chairs, who is going to be, I think, the future of this program. I'm very excited to watch Deshaun, whatever. But, John, they start out September 5th, so it's right around the corner, with Southern Nazarene at 7 p.m. They go to Oklahoma Baptist. They go to Arkansas Monticello. They go to Ouachita Baptist. So they got some road games that are tough. Um, they play Tech at home, but they beat Southwest on 64-0 last year, stomping that team, doing that. All right, break. When we come back, we're going to get into the Charlotte 49ers and the I almost said Jacksonville Jaguars, Jacksonville State Gamecocks, as we get closer to the end of the show here at 4-Star Sports Media, as we're on the Sports Buffet. It's Monday, August 12th, 2024. We will be right back right here on 4-Star Sports Radio Network. Welcome back, folks, to the Sports Buffet right here on 4-Star Sports Media. It is August 12th, 2024, and we appreciate you coming in and having a seat at the buffet. Today, we are Monday, Wednesday. What did I just knock off? We are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right here on 4-Star Sports Media. We appreciate everyone coming in. We're going to get into a little bit of Charlotte 49ers now, as we get into a few teams from the G5. A team that, first off, let me say this. I love their football coach. He is one of my favorite people, I think, on this planet. Never met him. Hope to meet him. His name is Biff Poggi. He went 3-9 last year. Second year at Charlotte. 6-6 against the spread, though, John. I'll take that. 50%. I'll take that. Last 5 bowl games was 2019 when Charlotte went to the Bahamas Bowl against Buffalo. Did not win the game. You look at this team. I'm going to talk about their stadium here in a little bit. But it's a team that's just, you can't sleep on them. A lot of people look at their schedule and they think, 2-10, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sleep on this football team. Max Brown comes over. He was at Florida. Very talented football player. When you look at this team offensive line-wise, it's essentially all portal guys. It is all portal guys. When you look at their starting 5 offensive line-wise, and you look at what they've done in camp thus far too, it's all guys from the offensive from other teams around the country, Texas A&M, Clemson, and others. defensively, this team's going to be better. When you look at them last year, they allowed 484 yards a game, about 39, almost 40 points a game. I think this year is going to be a little bit better, to be honest with you, under Ryan Osborne, their defensive coordinator. But man, when you look at this football team, first off, did you know that Biff played with Dan Marino at Pitt, John?
Nope, sure didn't.
See, you come to the buffet and you learn stuff, man. You learn stuff. No, I'm telling you, this football team is going to be very interesting to watch. We saw last year what they did. They took Memphis to the brinks. They took a
Hmm.
few other teams to the brinks. They beat South Carolina State. They lose to Maryland. Only lost to Florida 22-7, and I'm pretty sure that game was fairly close for a while. 14-0 to Navy. I get it. You get down to Navy, it's tough. They beat East Carolina 10-7. They beat Tulsa in overtime, but then they lose 44-38 to Memphis. South Florida shellacks them 48-14 to close the year. But
Hmm.
John, let's get into this schedule, man, because I'm really interested to see what your thoughts are. Well, first off, let me get before I do that. Let me get
Yeah.
your thoughts on Biff, man.
If
What's your
you
thoughts
give,
on it?
yeah, second year, 3-9 last year, returned 7 on offense, returned defense on 5, and like you, who doesn't love a guy wearing a tank top or a cutoff shirts, on the sideline, whatnot, especially during practice, whatnot. But yeah, if you give Charlotte this guy 3 years, like we have talked about other coaches, you gotta give the coaches these days and ages 3 years and see how they do. Like you said, Charlotte very well could win 5 or 6 games, next year or even this year, for example. But the thing about him that concerns me, and especially with this team, like you brought up the games already, a few of them, are they going to finish? Are they going to finish when it matters
Yeah,
most? Because like last year, they're up 14-0 on Maryland after the first quarter, and they ended
and
up
lost
just
38
couldn't
20.
finish, and
Yeah,
they lost. Yeah, you competed against a Florida team down in the swamp. You only lost 22-7. You won at East Carolina in a tough place to play at, 10-7. Uh, Tulsa game, and you're down 14-0 after the first quarter, and you rallied to win that game 33-26. But that
yeah,
Memphis, I'm no shade at Memphis here. Congratulations on coming back. But Memphis had that game lost. And it was
yeah.
just a miracle to see Memphis rally and win that game 44-38 in overtime. But Memphis was down, or yeah, Memphis was just pretty much down like 2 scores going into that late fourth quarter, and Charlotte just turned the ball over, and then Memphis capitalized, and that's how Memphis won the ball game. But for Charlotte, they got to finish, is what I want to see from Charlotte this year in your
Yep.
non-conference games and even in your conference games. If you're up 2 scores, win the ball game and finish the ball game and see how you do. But the thing, like you brought up, the offensive line is going to be key this year. You got a lot of transfers. You got one of the biggest offensive linemen in the conference, rating 305, 315, whatnot. But you're only averaging 18 points per game last year. That's what concerned me the most. Yeah, you returned 7 on offense. You brought up the quarterback play. That could be very well be interesting. But third down conversion for Charlotte last year, you were only 24% on the season last year on third downs. And to me, you got to capitalize on third downs to have a chance this year to maybe win 5 or 6 games for the Charlotte 49ers.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, you look at Charlotte over the last 10 years, the best season they've had was 2019, which was a 7-6 bowl game season. Recently, 2019 7-6. Like I said, 2022 and 4, 2021 5-7, 2022 3-9, and in 2023 3-9 under new head coach Biff Poggi. Of course, as we know, previous head coach had things like club lit, stuff like that. Poggi's not that style. Very, very much more old school. They also bring in um, some other guys around the league. So you bring in, um, sorry, where's he at? There he is. You bring in Mike Miller. He's a second year offensive coordinator. He was offensive coordinator at Maryland in 2022. So you got some consistency. You've got guys that's been around for a couple years, been with the program a couple years. That helps. That helps players. That helps the whole program. But let's go ahead and look at this schedule, John. They start off with James Madison.
I hate to
These two
say it, but
teams,
that's a loss.
well, I don't know. These two teams met first in the first 2 years of Charlotte's existence, 13 and 14. Charlotte is currently 5-1 in season openers, John, but has lost the last 10 of 11 at home to FBS opponents. They also against current SBC foes, which would be Sun Belt Conference foes. The 49ers are 2-6 straight up, 4-4 against the spread. If you're talking, what's your thoughts on this James Madison game?
I think it's going to be based on experience. I think right now, yeah, you got 7 offensive players, but the defense is what concerns me going into this game. I know the game's at home. You talked about the stadium. I know the stadium only holds like 15 to 18,000, depending on how many standing room only seats you want to fill in there. But it's a tough game to start out because James Madison has more experience on offense rather than your defense returning starters. So that could be very well a challenge. And I hate to say it, but it's going to be an 0-1 to start the year.
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. I'll probably give them 0-1 to start the year as well. All right, up next, they travel to North Carolina. Teams are only separated by 140 miles. Charlotte's 2-4 straight up versus interstate FBS foes since 2018. The last time they faced an ACC team was in 2021 when they upset Duke, and that's their only Power 5 win ever as a school, by the way. When they upset Duke 31-28. I actually remember that game. I forgot that they had done that, but yeah. So what do you? I mean, can they go in there and shock the Fighting Mac Browns?
They can probably compete for like a quarter and a half, almost 2 quarters, whatnot, I think. But depending on how healthy North Carolina could very well be going into that game because North Carolina always plays. I mean, it's tough because North Carolina is one of the top 25 toughest environments in the nation. It seems game in, game out for a lot of people. But I can see them competing for at least a quarter and a half. But it's going to come down to more depth. North Carolina's got more depth on both sides of football.
Yeah, I give me Charlotte to get a shock there. Give me Charlotte to go in there and get a win. I think it's a trap game for North Carolina for sure. I think Charlotte goes in there and gets a dub. Up next, Gardner Webb at home. This third meeting, as Charlotte won the previous two. Um, the running Bulldogs were 10-4 against the spread versus are 10-4 against the spread versus FBS team. Sorry, since 2014. Give me Charlotte to get a win over the Gardner Webb running Bulldogs.
Yeah, it's a win at home. I think it's because you got those 2 tough games right off the bat. In Charlotte or in James Madison, North Carolina. I think those 2 tough games can get you. Yeah, Gardner Webb might be a 1AA school, but it's a 1AA good opponent to have
Yeah,
on that schedule after those first 2 games, and that's where I think they beat Gardner Webb and get their first win.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Will be the second one for me. But up next, head to Indiana. First meeting between the two schools. The 49ers are just 1-11 versus Power 5 opponents straight up since 2015. I don't think that changes. Win.
Wow, Wes, you going out there today, aren't you? I just think that North Carolina and James Madison game will help them for this game. But Bloomington, Indiana is one of the toughest environments in the Big Ten. And I think Indiana's got a little bit more experience than Charlotte in this position, so I give Charlotte another loss in this season.
Well, that's why I said Indiana gets the win.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear you. My fault. So you're
Yeah. I was like, dang. I was like, that shouldn't be shocking. All right. Up next, they travel to Rice, September 26th or September 28th. Sorry. Two teams have met last 3 seasons. Give me Charlotte to get the win down over Rice.
that's a sneaky game for Rice, just because one got Charlotte playing those tough games early on in the season. That's where I think Charlotte can beat Rice at Rice, and I think it's going to happen. I think that's where the schedule comes in favor for Charlotte to get them ready for the conference schedule, and I think that's why Charlotte goes into Rice and beats Rice.
So, for those of you keeping score at home, that's 3 wins for me right now for Charlotte, and John has them at 2. Up next, they go play East Carolina at home. Give me Charlotte to get the win over the Pirates again. I don't think East Carolina has it figured out yet. I think they're going to struggle again this year, and we'll talk about East Carolina coming up more. But give me them to get a win. So that's 2 wins back to back for Charlotte as they go into a bye week. What's your thoughts on East Carolina, John?
That's an interesting game because last year it was 10-7 at East Carolina, and Charlotte won that game at East Carolina. But like I told you, this is scheduling before those games. Get you ready for another home. If you can have a decent turnout, I know you might have a losing record, but to have your first conference game against East Carolina, a school that's in the same state as you, maybe like a rivalry a little bit, that type per se as well. But if you have a sold out crowd supporting your Charlotte 49ers in that game, I think Charlotte prevails, and I think they get the third win. I really do. It's not the same East Carolina team that we watched over the last 10 years, per se. But Charlotte does get the win at home because that schedule does favor them or helps them out per se. Again, and that's where they get the third win.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. All right, man. So bye week. So that's a dub, right? I
Right.
mean, you can't lose in a bye week, I wouldn't think. So that's a bye week. You get a bye week and you get Navy on the road, but Navy is also coming off a bye too. So Navy Charlotte, man, very interesting matchup between these two teams. Second meeting ever, obviously, between these two schools. Um, give me Navy to lose this game to Charlotte.
You know what? I'll go ahead and give Navy the win because it's at Navy. You got an environment at Navy that players have never seen before for Charlotte. That per se. But I'll give Navy the dub because, yeah, they both come off a bye week,
Yeah.
but you never know what the weather's going to be like in October. And good old Indianapolis, Maryland, per se. It could be raining. It could be snowing, that per se. But I'll give Navy the win at home.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Up next, they go to Memphis. First time ever traveling to Memphis. I don't think they beat Memphis. I think it's another good football game. I will say that. And I don't mean that as a shot against Charlotte. I think it's another good football game. I think Charlotte gives Memphis another fight. But I think Memphis gets the win.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like another, like you said, it's going to be an interesting matchup because, yeah, you're going to Memphis, and Memphis has got that high-powered offense, whatnot. But Memphis has got more depth at certain positions, and whatnot. And I think Memphis competes. Like, I could see maybe like a 13 to 16 point victory for Memphis, that per se. It's going to be harder than you think going into this game because of what happened last year. But I think if this is more experience for the Tigers in this game, and I think it prevails late in that second half.
Yeah, I agree. All right, man. Up next, they play Tulane on a Thursday night. For what it's worth, John, the Miners are 0-4 straight up against ranked foes. Do you think they could possibly beat a Tulane if they're ranked, coming off a tough road Memphis game? Could that be a trap game for the Green Wave?
Yes, because the game is at home, but with it being a short week off a road game at Memphis, and this is just a short week, man. You get two high powered offenses back to back on a short week notice. When I say high powered offense, John Summerall at Tulane is still going to throw the ball around
100%.
like he did at Troy. So I think it's going to be a loss in this game, but you're going to basically compete for 3 quarters against the Tulane team. I think the fourth quarter is going to come down to that fourth quarter. I think Tulane, like we talked about, it's going to be coming down to depth, and I think Tulane's going to finally wake up and maybe score like 2 touchdowns to open the game up a little bit more for the Green Wave. But it is a trap game, like you mentioned, with it being a short week in the game is at Charlotte. But I just think it's just tough because you got Memphis and Tulane back to back on that short week.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, man. Up next, they got another bye, and they take on South Florida, where I don't think they defeat the Bulls.
I'd like to see them to beat the South Florida Bulls so they can have 4 wins on the year. But like we talked about, USF is one of the most improved teams in this conference. So give me another loss for the 49ers. I hate to say it.
All right. So I've got them sitting at 5 wins right now, and they're going to travel to FAU, where I don't think they beat the Fighting Tom Hermans either.
I would love to see them pull a shocker here, but like you brought up, Tom Herman, another coach that's, like I said, Charlotte is 5 or 6 wins in year 3. It's not year 2 because it takes a coach at least 3 years to get his players, in there. It's just the way the transfer portal and NIL is these days as well.
Yeah.
But you're going to compete for a half, yes, but I think Florida Atlantic, they just got too much high-powered offense to capitalize on this young defense for the 49ers.
And final game against UAB, and this is where I think Charlotte gets their 6th win of the year. Give me Charlotte to knock off UAB and win 6 games in year 2 under Biff.
So you got them, let's repeat their wins again. You got them beating North Carolina, right?
So I've got them beating North Carolina, beating Gardner-Webb, beating Rice, beating East Carolina. Oh, hold on. Oh, James Madison. Yeah, James Madison, Gardner-Webb, at Rice, East Carolina. I'm missing one. Navy.
Okay.
And then UAB. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think is very, very, very feasible for them.
Like so many games that are 50-50 on the schedule, to be honest with you. Like you brought up, the James Madison game is at home, per se. But I think, like you brought up, and I have brought up numerous times already on Charlotte, this schedule helps them out for year 2 under this coach. So that's one reason I think they can beat UAB. I say go ahead and give me Charlotte 4-8 on the year. Yeah, it's a 1 win more than last year, per se, but 4 wins under him year 2, and then learn from it, and then get maybe like 5 or 6, like we talked about for year 3.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's move on to the Jacksonville State Gamecocks, where we have Coach Rich Rodriguez in his 3rd year there. Jacksonville State was 9-4 last year. Definite team not to sleep on for sure. But John, let's take a look at this team, man. You got Logan Smothers back at quarterback. Incredible talented player. There's talent everywhere, man. Tight end Sean Brown is the guy that I'm really, really intrigued about watching. They returned 5 on offense, returned 4 on defense. And let's go ahead and jump into their schedule. They start off the season with a Thursday night meeting with Coastal Carolina. Give me Jacksonville State to get a win on that first night.
I'll give Coastal Carolina. I think it's just because I think Coastal Carolina is a high-powered offense still, and Jacksonville State only returns 4 starters on defense. It's going to be a close game for a half, because you don't know what to expect right out the season, between these two teams. But I'll go ahead and give Coastal Carolina that first dub.
Okay. At Louisville, I don't think Jacksonville State gets a win there. I think they're 1-1 heading into week 3.
I agree on that.
Okay.
Well,
Week 3, they go to Eastern Michigan. If you've never seen the Eastern Michigan field, too, it's like cigarette ash gray. It's very weird. Um, but I think they get a win on that cigarette ash gray field. So that'll make them 2-1 heading into their homecoming game.
yeah, like you brought up, Eastern Michigan's field is definitely interesting. But yeah, I'll give Jacksonville State 1-2 go through 3 games.
All right, so September 21st is their homecoming because that's pretty early in the year, right? So they take on Southern Miss. I think they get a win. I think Southern Miss. We're going to talk about them more in depth coming up in the next next week actually. But yeah, give me a win there. So you're looking at 1, 2. I've got them at 3 wins right now through 4 games.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and give them the win just because nothing against Coach Will Hall and Southern Miss. But it's a hard year for Southern Miss again, I think.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I think Jacksonville State Gamecocks prevail on homecoming and get that dub before the bye week.
Yeah. So coming off the bye, you go to Kennesaw State. That's a win.
That's a win. It's on a Friday night, but it's a hard fought win because you really don't know what to expect on the Kennesaw State team.
Yeah, yeah. Then after that, you come to go. New Mexico State comes to you, coming off a bye. Man, give me another win there.
I think with you being on a short week, yeah, I think the edge is for you at home because the game's at home.
Yeah.
So I'll give Jacksonville State another win. Now, if the game was on the road per se,
Might be different.
it might be different.
Yeah, agree. Another bye. Then they take on MTSU on a Wednesday night. I think this is where they drop a game, and I think they drop a couple games in their going home stretch on the season. What about you?
Yeah, I think that's a sneaky game just because you don't know what to expect on a Middle Tennessee team.
Yeah.
Middle Tennessee is basically playing one of the toughest non-conference games in the conference per se, and I think this one I give Derek Mason the edge in this game because I think Derek Mason he might not have Middle Tennessee winning a lot of games this year, but I think the non-conference game for Middle Tennessee will get them ready for this game in Jacksonville. And I think Middle Tennessee pulls maybe like a overtime win over Jacksonville State.
Yeah. Up next, they travel to Liberty. Another short week too. Give me Liberty to get the win. I think Liberty's going to be good this year.
Yeah, I'll give Liberty a win just because the game's at Liberty. I think Jimmy Chadwell and his high-powered offense has got a little bit too much for Jacksonville State.
Up next, they travel down to FIU to Pitbull Stadium. Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide. Heads down there. I think they're going down there and win in Pitbull Stadium.
Yeah, I think they get the dub at FIU as well, just because you got a lot of question marks for FIU Panthers down the road. But I think you also lose that game at La Tech the week before.
Ooh.
So, I mean, you
don't. You got them losing to La Tech?
I just think it's just an interesting game down at La Tech.
That is 2 tough road games smashed in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to agree. I don't think they lose, but I think it's 2 tough road games.
I just think you lose one of those. You know what? I'll give that. I'll rephrase that. I'll give Jacksonville State that win, just because you get at Liberty the week before, but it's not going to be easy down in Ruston, Louisiana.
No. Those folks were wild down there, man. So all right. So what about FIU? You got them winning that game?
Yeah, I got them winning that game because of more experience on the offense.
Okay, I've got them beating Sam Houston, and we'll talk more about Sam Houston here in a minute. But I've got them beating Sam Houston too. What about you?
Yeah, I'll give them the dub over Sam Houston just because the game's at home.
All right, so this is the game that I think is a major trap game on this schedule. So right now I have them losing to Louisville, losing to MTSU, losing to Liberty. That would have them at 3 losses. So they would be sitting on the cusp of a another really good season, right? Got them losing to Western Kentucky to close the year out, which
I can
would
see that. Yeah.
put them at 9-4 on with 4 losses on the season.
So I've been 8-4. Yeah.
I think it's another great year for Jacksonville State. 4
Yeah.
losses.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. There's teams around the country that would do a lot for 4 losses.
I'll go ahead.
They would
Yeah.
tamper with a lot of rosters to get 4 losses. So that's a win in my book. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say 7-5, and I think they lose the game at Western Kentucky. I just think, like you brought up, Western Kentucky is Western Kentucky, man. Whether they're playing on the road or at home, Western Kentucky always seems to have a good offense. And I think with the game at Western Kentucky, that's one reason I think Jacksonville State loses this game. So finish the year 7-5 and still have a good, decent year under Rich Rod. I'll take 7-5 in a heartbeat for Jacksonville State.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And I think you talk to any Gamecock fan, whether they're a fan of just from last year or a fan for the last 30 years, they would tell you the same. All right, John. Man, we broke some news today. All right, so let's go back to talk about this. So, what D1 football coach has the coldest seat in the nation? When I say coldest seat, I'm meaning no pressure whatsoever. You can kick back, you can stretch on back, and relax.
All right, I'll give you 3 names. Jimmy Chadwell from Liberty, Mike Norvell from Florida State, and Josh Heupel from Tennessee.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, of course, there's the obvious, right? There's Kirby Smart's under no pressure, right? None. Some other guys around the country. I agree with the Josh Heupel. I agree with the Mike Norvell. A lot of people may not agree with that, but I do. I think Jamie's got to keep doing it at the pace he is right now. I think if Jamie goes and wins 7 or wins 8, even 7 wins, I think he's got a little bit more pressure on him. Because, I mean, the expectation's here now. You were in the playoffs. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, the expectation's here. He can't stay down here. He can't drop. I'll be honest with you, man. I don't think Biff Poggi I think he has a pretty cold seat at Charlotte.
Yeah, just because it's the second year. So
I'll be honest with you. I think Butch Jones. Yeah, I think Butch Jones has a much colder seat than people may think. Ron Silver's another one that has a pretty daggone cold seat.
We can talk about Butch on Friday, or I'll send you some what I think about Butch on Friday. To do a Friday night episode, but last year definitely the first few games for Butch Jones, Arkansas State fans were like,
brutal.
All right, we want this guy out.
Yeah,
what's it going to take for this guy to be out completely in Jonesboro? And what can we do to buy him out? Because his buyout is so, I don't even know what it is right now on top of my head again, but his buyout is so high.
Yeah,
but yeah, the way he finished that year last year. His seat is getting cooled off, per se, in Jonesboro.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say Mike Norvell has probably got the coldest seat in the country. I don't think there's much pressure on him. I mean, he's got to continue to win. Don't get me wrong. All right, John. It's time to head over to our lists. So let's start with the small stadiums that we want to visit. Top 5. Go ahead, John.
Well, I got 2 of them for honorable mention. Let's just go ahead and do number 7. Yeah. My honorable mention was Benson Field down in Tulane, an on-campus stadium, 30,000 fans, and of course Memphis plays down there at Thanksgiving, which is going to be kind of difficult down for me to actually go for that. But I'd love to see the Tulane on-campus stadium that a lot of people have been talking about. Falcon Stadium down in Air Force. It holds 39,000, but to see that background behind the stadium with the mountains, you know, who doesn't love a snow football game down in Colorado Springs, Colorado? So the list that was kind of difficult, but number 5, Mountaineer Stadium in West Virginia, 60,000 stadium. You really don't know what to expect, except I want to see a Big 12 game in West Virginia. Number 4 is the Carrier Dome in Syracuse. It holds 49,000 for football, but when you got the historic Carrier Dome with basketball gym slash football field together in one, that's just historic to me, per se. Number 3, Pickens Stadium for Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
It holds 55,000, but just looking at the college game day atmosphere from videos and even college game day going there, per se, and also, who doesn't love a night game in Stillwater? Number 2, I'll go with Baylor, 45,000 seat stadium.
That's a cool stadium from the outside.
Yeah. And then number 1, Utah Stadium that holds 51,000. I'd love to see a game in Utah, Salt Lake City.
I like it. All right, man. So my first one is Clarence T.C. Ching Athletics Complex.
Okay.
It holds 16,909 people.
Okay.
And that's where the University of Hawaii plays.
Yep. No more Aloha Stadium.
No more Aloha Stadium, but I definitely want to go down there and see them. Another one is Jerry Richardson Stadium. That's Charlotte. The Charlotte area is beautiful. I love that area of the country. The drive to Charlotte is even more beautiful. Another team we talked about was Elliott T. Bowers Stadium. It holds 14,000 people, and it's the smallest Division I college football stadium. And that's Sam Houston, the Bobcats. I'd love to go to that stadium. I think that would be a lot of fun to go to. We talked about them earlier. Now it's known as Pitbull Stadium, but I want to go to FIU. I'd love to go down there and watch a game, 23,500 people. Now, in going through this list, I ran across some stadiums I'd been to, Davis Wade Stadium being one of them, obviously Arkansas Stadium here in Fayetteville being one, Cardinal Stadium, Papa John Stadium, now known as Cardinal Stadium, in Louisville. But one that I've been to not for a football game, right? So I've been to the Alamo Dome in San Antonio for a concert. I want to go back and witness that stadium in football form. I mean, obviously, while I'm there, I'm like visualizing where the field would be, all that. But yeah, UTSA holds 64,000 people. I would love to be down there and go to a game. Memphis plays down there this year. It's from Fayetteville to San Antonio is roughly a 14-hour drive one way. But I want to make that trip, man. That's my number 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
My number 1 has got to be. Now, keep in mind, like BYU's up there. I'd love to go out to BYU. That's a beautiful backdrop.
Right.
Utah is another one. You mentioned Air Force. Appalachian State is another one that I would love to go to their campus. We need to get Katie Pate back on too. But I'd love to get. She's not there anymore. But love to get Katie Pate back on to talk about that as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, you brought up the Alamo Dome. Essentially, I know fans might hate this, but the 08 Final Four was there, per se.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you brought up a great list. Man, it was just like looking at these lists, like you brought up small stadiums, like the 14 to 15,000. I was just amazed by it's in the space in Sam Houston. With them being such a 1AA powerhouse for that many years as well, I thought they would basically have a bigger stadium than what they showed.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. All right. Last one of the show, and then we'll close it out. Top 5 coaches to spend the day with. I'll let you go first, John.
Oh, man. Let the harder guy go first. Okay. No particular order. So let's just go. Uh, I brought up Air Force earlier. I definitely want to spend a day with Coach Calhoun in the Air Force. He's been there 18 seasons, it feels like, whatnot. So I'll go with Coach Calhoun. I want to see on a day to day basis how hard that offense actually is to the defense. So I want to see the breakdown on that offense completely in a day with Coach Calhoun. I did Lincoln Riley from Southern Cal because
Yeah.
I want to see how he is as a person, and I definitely want to see how he is recruiting, and I want to see his offense guru as he is. But got to work on the defense part of it. But yeah, the offense still seems to be there. Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame. I don't know what it is about Marcus Freeman, but I've always loved him since the Cincinnati days as a defense coordinator at Cincinnati. Josh Heupel is another one, just because Josh Heupel from the UCF days, the way that he did that offense completely, and he's turned it into Tennessee, 9 or 10 wins into a Tennessee program. That's another one. My last one would probably have to be, gosh, you know what? Jeff Levy from Mississippi State. I know his background regarding his family members, whatnot, like the Brown
Yeah.
family. That's a different story. But just the way that I've heard from recruiting point of view, how he actually is. I want to see how Jeff Levy is in the recruiting point of view. And I also have heard he's pretty southern too, so you can't go wrong there. So let's just go with Jeff Levy.
Yeah, man, this I love these lists, by the way, but this
Yeah.
one was fun. I really enjoyed this one. Um, Number 5 is real simple. It's Chip Kelly. I would love to just spend a day with this guy and just listen to what he says to people, how he says things to people. But I want to listen. I want to really just soak up his knowledge, right? Especially
Uh-huh.
on the offensive side. He's got such a unique style. Um,
Y'all
Another
can,
one is a guy we talked about earlier, and that's
y'all can go dancing
the
together
new
too, by
San
the way.
Diego State. True, true. Well, there's another one on the list that's an even better dancer. So, number 4 is Ken Niumatalolo,
Okay.
San Diego State head
San Jose.
coach.
Yeah.
San Jose State. Um, Another for the offense. I don't know if he's going to run triple option there. I hope he does.
Yeah.
Um, but that's going to be a lot of fun, man. I like him more than anything. I want to sit down and talk to him about his time at Navy. That would be to me the most interesting thing. And then just there's a lot of he has his back against the wall at Navy. You can't just go get anybody. I mean, it's kind of
Right.
like Army. Um, Bobby Petrino is my number 3, man. These are all coaches that I
No, you said
offense
no.
coaches
You
I
said
like.
head coaches, bro.
Did I say head coaches? Oh, okay, I
Yes.
did say head coach. Well, he's a former head coach. That counts, right? I mean, obviously Lane Kiffin's up there. Just because, dude, he would be so much fun to hang out with for a day. Um,
The
and
Twitter.
then you're gonna laugh, man. Yes, Lord, yes. You're gonna laugh. Well, Mike Leach was an honorable mention, by the way.
Right.
Obviously, he's not with us anymore. But Mike
Agreed.
Leach was an honorable mention. He was the first name that came to mind when this list popped in my head. Mike Leach was the first name that came to mind. Um, so he's my honorable mention. But I got 2 more. Um, Man, when you really look at coaches around the country, guys that just seem to find a way to just get me excited. We talked about him earlier. My number 2 has got to be Biff Poggi because I want to look and see in his closet how many shirts have sleeves cut off. Like how many Charlotte shirts have sleeves cut off. I want to know how many 3 questions shirts he has because I want one. And
Right.
I am going to get online here soon and look and see if I can find me one of those and buy it. Because I will gladly wear it. I don't care. I'll gladly wear that shirt. It's hilarious. Because I was on the press call when we only got 3 questions asked, so that's what makes it even funnier. But I did not ask a question, so I feel bad. But so Biff, if you're listening, sorry, man. My number one to me is easy. There's no other head coach in the country that I really want to sit down and spend a day with, not just in the coaching world, but in his world. What does he do on a day-to-day basis? People are going to laugh at me, but Mike Norvell. I want to sit down with Norvell for a day, because it's more than football. I mean, obviously, it's more than football with anybody. Silverfield was on my list too. I'm not taking anything away from Silverfield,
Uh,
but Florida State, man, there's a lot happening in Tallahassee. I mean, there's a lot happening in Memphis, too. Don't get me wrong, but I bet he is being pulled in 1,000 different directions every day down there. And then he's got to maintain a football program that's not just any football program; it's Florida State. So that's my top 5, man. But yeah, it's been a great show. We've talked a little Olympics. We broke some news on Memphis softball. As Trainer Prater was announced as the head coach. We've already reached out to Memphis for a request for interview for her as well. So we will be reached out today through a couple different avenues. But yeah, big time show, man. We talked Paris. We talked Hardin Bisons. We talked Charlotte 49ers. We'll be back on Wednesday morning as well. We'll be back on Friday in the evening for the sports buffet. Tomorrow we'll be back on for the Ice Hogs podcast, and like I said, Wednesday we'll be back on for Tigers Den as well. So it's gonna be another exciting week of 6 shows. We're currently having 6 shows. We got a 7th one on the way though. At least one more on the way. There's actually a couple more in the works. We could possibly have up to 9 or 10 shows a week on this brand by the time it's all said and done. And we're not even into football season, folks. So, the growth is definitely happening here at 4-Star. I appreciate everyone who watches, listens, supports, shares, reads the articles, everything. We appreciate it all, man. You guys are the best. And John, I appreciate you coming on with me, man.
appreciate you, and enjoy your day and enjoy this nice weather we got.
Yeah, man. No doubt. But for Wes Pruitt, John Starbuck, everybody here at 4-Star Sports Media, have a good evening. And as always, stay classy, folks.